Hi bookish friends, my name is Jackie and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be using my 2 TBR jars to help me pick out my September hopefuls. Alright, so I just wanted to do a quick check-in for my August TBR. So I did end up reading books that fulfilled the 2 prompts from the prompt jar. So I read a book that had flowers on the cover and a book that had magic in it. I, however, did not get around to the books that I picked from the title jar, so I'm going to make that more of a priority going into September. And I think I like how I did it last month, where I picked out 2 prompts from the prompt jar and then 2 slips from the title jar. That way it's not so overwhelming for me, especially since I have books that have kind of rolled over from previous TBRs, and I do end up having buddy reads and other things that do come up, so I think picking out 4 books in this is going to be the best fit. Alright, so starting with my prompt jar, it's right here. Let's open it. I'm gonna close my eyes and let's have a dig around. Do I have one in my hand? Yes. Okay, let's see what this one is. Okay, it says a nonfiction book. I'm gonna have to look through my nonfiction collection, which is in the other room, not in this room. This room only holds my fiction books, but I'll look through and see what nonfiction books I would be interested in maybe picking up. I'll also look at my Libro FM audiobook collection in case there's something on there that interests me. Alright, so since this prompt is so broad, I have quite a few different options. I found 3 possible physical books that I might be interested in, so I'll share those with you first, and then I'll share the audiobook options. The first nonfiction option I have is Good Boy, My Life in 7 Dogs by Jennifer Finney Bolin, and it says that it's an homage to unconditional love of dogs, and it turns out to be much less of a pain to her constant canine companions and more of a journey through her own psyche. I love things that kind of explore our psyche, our brains, all of that, and I love dogs so much, so I really want to read this one. I think this would be really fun to dive into, and I want to dive more into the psychology of dogs and why we love them so much, but I think this will follow more of a storytelling kind of vibe, which is something that I appreciate. Nonfictions that feel too textbook-like can sometimes bore me, so I think this is going to be one of my options. Another option I have is Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur. This is a poetry collection by her, and I haven't actually read this. I did put it on a TBR earlier this year, so this would be a good one to maybe put on my TBR this time, but we'll see what ends up happening. And it says that this is the journey of surviving through poetry. This is the blood, sweat, tears of 21 years. This is my heart in your hands. This is the hurting, the loving, the breaking, the healing by Rupi Kaur. And I have really been wanting to try out Rupi Kaur's poetry. I think this is going to be something that I could resonate with, and it could be a good option to read in September. So this is definitely a potential. And then lastly, for physical book options, I have The Black Friend on Being a Better White Person. This is by Frederick Joseph. I've had this one for a while and been meaning to read it for ages. So this makes me more inclined to want to pick this one up over the other ones, which I've had less amount of time, I think. And it's kind of got all these stories from a bunch of different authors and conversations with them. So it has stuff from Angie Thomas, April Rain, Tonya Denley, Daniela Alvarez, Jesse Daniels, a bunch of well-known authors. And Frederick Joseph lived as a transfer student in a largely white high school. He had a lot of wince-worthy moments that he's often let go of, but as he grew older, he saw this as missed opportunities, not just to stand up for himself, but spread awareness to those white people who didn't see the negative impact that they were having. And he speaks directly to us and calls up race-related anecdotes from his past, explaining why these things were hurtful and how they could be handled now. So every chapter features the voice of at least one artist or activist, and I think that's going to be really interesting and a very informative read. So this is one that I'm kind of more inclined to pick up, but we'll see what ends up happening. So for an audiobook option, I have Before We Were Trans by Kit Hayem, and this is one that I actually tried to read earlier this year. So I didn't end up finishing it, not because the book wasn't very informative and valuable, but because I was kind of struggling and slumping at the time, and the nonfiction was just kind of putting me in more of a slump. But it's a book that challenges the narrow understanding that we have of trans history, and it presents a global, inclusive, and complex narrative of gender nonconformity and fluidity across cultures and eras from ancient times to the present day. It introduces a lot of historical figures and practices that defy binary gender categories, and it highlights stories from places like Renaissance Venice, 17th century Angola, and Edo Japan to demonstrate that gender has always been complex and and diverse, and that this part of the human experience is not limited to very strict binaries. So this exceeds the limitations of the recent white cis-normative Western narratives that have been established. Again, I really do want to read this one. I just wasn't in the right headspace when I picked it up, but it might be one I pick up this month. I don't know if I'm still in the right headspace for this or not though, so we'll see what ends up happening with that. Another option is Gathered Together in My Name by Maya Angelou. This is the second volume in her autobiography, and it details the tumultuous years of her life from being a young single mother in the post-World War II era. So it follows her from ages 17 to 19, and it chronicles her journey with self-discovery as she navigates a lot of different jobs, relationships, cities, and faces challenges like racism, sexism, and poverty. Through these experiences, she explores themes of isolation, resilience, and the identity of a Black woman in America, eventually finding her voice and strength. This is one that I really want to try out too. I don't know if I'm gonna get to it in September, but it's a high priority for me. A few years ago, I read I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings by Maya Angelou, and it was so good. I definitely want to read more of her backlisted works, so this is another one that I have on my potential options list. Finally, I have Free, My Search for Meaning by Amanda Knox. This is her memoir, and if you didn't know, Amanda Knox was accused of murdering someone, and years later it was found that she was acquitted of that and she did not actually commit the murder. So it details her efforts to reclaim her identity and purpose after years of imprisonment and an international trial for this murder, and it describes her difficult struggles in trying to reintegrate in society following her exoneration, her efforts to try to heal from the trauma and public vilification, and her search for meaning in a normal life beyond the notoriety of her criminal case. I think this is going to be a really interesting one. I heard about the Amanda Knox case when it happened years ago, and I think there was like a Netflix documentary about it, but that has since been removed. So I would like to read this book and hear about her own words, how she felt about it, because I think all these secondhand sources have been like skewing stories too. So it would be interesting to see what she thinks of the whole situation and how she's tried to move on after it. So this is another option. Again, I don't know that I'm going to be prioritizing this one in the month of September, but it might be one that I end up picking up and trying out. Who knows? All right, so now it's time to pick the next prompt from my prompt jar. So I'm gonna open it up and dig around in here. I have my eyes closed. Let's see, I think I have one. Okay, let's see what this prompt is. A book you think will be a 5-star read. Okay, so that gives me a lot of room and a lot of different options here. So let's see what I'm gonna end up picking from my shelves. Again, I'll give myself some physical book options and some audiobook options because that gives me the most flexibility. All right, so I looked through my audiobook options and I'm not sure that there are any specifically there that will be 5-star reads. I'm not confident in that, so I don't want to put any of those on my TBR in case I'm disappointed. Of course, there could always be a 5-star read lurking there, but I don't feel like super confidently about any of the books there, so I only have physical book options for this one, but I do have 3 options that I still want to share. So first, I have The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. Yes, I know that this has received mixed ratings and not everyone likes this one, but I have loved Suzanne Collins' other books. I've rated at least Catching Fire 5 stars and The Hunger Games 4.5 stars, I think, so this could be another 5-star read, who knows. But it's following Coriolanus Snow and the 10th annual Hunger Games. He is serving as a mentor during these games, and the House of Snow has fallen on hard times. Its fate is hanging on the slender chance that he'll be able to charm, outwit, and outmaneuver his fellow students. He's trying to win a scholarship to go to university to help dig his family out of poverty, and it's very interesting to get this villain origin story here. I did try to read this in 2020 and I put it down because I listened to it on audio and couldn't get into it. And then earlier this year I actually picked it up again and I read a decent chunk of it, maybe 100 pages, and then I put it back down, but that's because I was traveling and I got distracted by other things. I was really enjoying it that time though, so I am excited to pick this one up and finally see it through again. It could be a 5-star read for me, although I don't know about that for sure, but this author has received a 5-star from me before, so that was one of my metrics when choosing books for this prompt. Another option is The Women by Kristen Hanna. This is on my 25 books to read in 2025 list, and earlier this year I read The Nightingale as a buddy read and I absolutely loved that book. I did give it a 5-star read, which is why this book is on my list of potentials. I just adore Kristen Hanna's writing. I rated her other book, Firefly Lane, 4 stars. So the 2 books I read from her, actually 3 books, because I read The Four Winds, and that was 4 or 4.5 stars. All of those have been hits for me, so I expect this one to also be a hit. I don't know if it'll end up being 5-star territory for me, but it should be at least 4 or 4.5, hopefully. So this is a good option, I think, because I do really love Kristen Hanna's writing. This book says that women can be heroes. When 20-year-old nursing student Frances McGrath hears these words, it's a revelation. She's raised in Southern California in the sun-drenched world there and sheltered by her very conservative parents, but she has always prided herself on doing the right thing. So in 1965, the world is changing and she suddenly dares to imagine a different future for herself. When her brother ships out to Vietnam, she joins the Army Nurse Corps and follows his path. As green and inexperienced as the men sent to Vietnam, she is overwhelmed by the chaos and destruction of the war, and every day is a gamble of life and death, hope and betrayal. Friendships run deep and can be shattered in an instant, and in war she meets and becomes one of the lucky, the brave, the broken, and the lost. But war is just the beginning for her and her veteran friends. The real battle lies in coming home to a changed and divided America, to angry protesters, and a country that wants to forget Vietnam. It's a story of one woman who goes to war, and it shines a light on all the women who put themselves in harm's way and whose sacrifice and commitment to their country often is forgotten. So I am very interested in this one. I think this could potentially be a 5-star read. I like that it's focusing on the Vietnam War, which is not a time period or a war that I'm as familiar with because there aren't so many fiction books written about it, and I don't know the history of it as well, so this could be a good option. I'm leaning towards this right now in this moment as one of my potentials, but we'll see because the other book on this list is, I think, going to slightly outrank this one in terms of highest priority. Of course, this prompt list option would not be complete without including On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. I believe I gave The Hate U Give 5 stars when I read it a few years ago, so this could definitely be another 5-star read for me. And this is perfect because I did get this in my quick to judge tag as my highest rated book based on the first paragraph, so I think I'm gonna really try to prioritize this. It follows Brie, who is 16 years old, and she wants to be one of the greatest rappers of all time, or at least win her first battle. But it's hard to come up when your fridge is empty at home after your mom loses her job. So Brie pours her anger and frustration into her first song, which goes viral but for all the wrong reasons. She soon finds herself at the center of a controversy, portrayed by the media as a menace more than an MC. But with an eviction notice staring her family down, she doesn't just want to make it, she has to. It's insightful and flinching and full of heart, and it's an ode to hip-hop from one of the most influential literary voices. I am so excited for this. I love Angie Thomas's writing. I like how she's able to tackle these really deep and intense topics, and I think it'll be a really good one to potentially pick up in September. I am leaning towards trying this one out, so we'll see what ends up happening though with time constraints and everything, but I do think that I will want to pick this one up in September for this prompt. All right, now we're gonna pick 2 books from the title jar. There's a lot of books in here, so I'm gonna be digging in it for a minute, but we'll see which ones I end up getting. I haven't been too good about reading them the last couple of months, but I do want to make it more of a priority, and if I don't end up reading the ones from here, I might end up reading the ones from July or August instead. This is all just suggestions for me. They're all September hopefuls after all, so there's no pressure with this. All right, so let's dig for the first one. Okay, I think I have one. Let's see what this one is. Arsenic and Adobo by Mia P. Manansala. Okay, I'm gonna go look for that on my shelves, but I'm excited about this one. I think this could be a hit. It seems, I think, a little more light-hearted and fluffy. It's got like some thriller components if I remember correctly, but I'll let you know for sure when I read you the summary. All right, so here's the book. This is Arsenic and Adobo by Mia P. Manansala. It says that it's a mystery, a Tita Rosie's Kitchen mystery, so that sounds super cool. And the summary says that it's the first book in a new culinary cozy series full of sharp humor and delectable dishes, one of which might just be a killer. When Lila Macapagal moves back home to recover from a horrible breakup, her life seems to be following all the typical rom-com tropes. She's tasked with saving her Tita Rosie's failing restaurant, and she has to deal with a group of matchmaking aunties who shower her with love and judgment. But when a notoriously nasty food critic, who also happens to be her ex-boyfriend, drops dead moments after a confrontation with Lila, her life quickly swerves from a Nora Ephron romp to an Agatha Christie case. With the cops treating her like she's the one and only suspect, and the shady landlord looking for a reason to finally kick out the Macapagal family and resell the storefront, Lila's left with no choice but to conduct her own investigation. Armed with the nosy auntie network, her barista best bud, and her trusted Dachshund Longanisa, Lila takes on this tasty, twisted case and soon finds her own neck on the chopping block. Wow, this is really perfect. This sounds so interesting. I have been mentioning that I do want some darker and grittier reads, and this sounds like it fits that, so I love love that. I can't wait to give this one a try, and I love that it's got this like cozy mystery vibe because I think that's perfect for the fall time. So this is definitely one that I'm going to be trying to prioritize in the month of September. All right, so now it's time to pick out one more title from the title jar. So let me just get my hand in here. I think I have one. Let's see. The Hero Ages by Brandon Sanderson. So this is part of the Mistborn trilogy. So I'm gonna actually put Mistborn on my TBR instead of The Hero Ages because obviously I need to read the first book before I pick up the second book in the series. And with any other books that I end up picking out that are part of a series, I will read the first book in the series or the next book that I need to read instead of that book if I'm not fully caught up with the series. All right, so this is Mistborn. This is my copy of it, and I love this purple cover. It's one of the mass market editions, and I got this recently. It's about a fascinating world where the mists rule the night and the Lord Ruler owns the world. Once a hero arose to save the world, he failed, and ever since then the world's been a wasteland of ash and mist, controlled by the immortal emperor known as the Lord Ruler. But hope survives. A new uprising is forming, one built around the ultimate caper, the cunning of a brilliant criminal mastermind, and the determination of an unlikely heroine, a street urchin who must learn to master the power of a Mistborn. I am excited to read this. I've heard great things about Brandon Sanderson's works, and this could not be more perfect. I do have this book on my 25 books to read in 2025 list, so definitely do want to pick this one up. I can't wait to give this a try and see what I think of it. Hopefully I'll get to it in the month of September, but we'll see what ends up happening. And I love that it's a fantasy. I'm definitely in a big fantasy thriller mystery, like darker read mood for the fall time, so excited to dive into this one and see if it lives up to the high expectations that I have for it. All right, I'm also going to be trying to participate in a fall reading challenge, and this is one that I'm going to be trying to read books for it in both September and October. So one of the books that I'm going to try to read for it is The Honeycrisp Orchard Inn. This is a cozy small town romance, and it follows Ellie Lawson, who is an event planner, and she returns to her family's inn on Long Island. Her family owns an apple orchard there, and she returns there after her career and relationship is kind of set back. She's forced to work with Aiden, who is the handsome son of the orchard owner, and to plan the inn's vital autumn harvest festival. She rediscovers her roots and finds unexpected feelings for her childhood friend in a story that's reminiscent of Gilmore Girls. So it has childhood friends to lovers, forks proximity, and a charming fall setting. I am so excited to try this one out. It had me with that comparison to Gilmore Girls. I absolutely love that TV show, and this seems like it'll give me the perfect fall vibes. It's definitely one that I want to try to get to in the month of September because one of the prompts is to read a book that's set at an orchard, and this is perfect for that. I also have an audiobook listening copy of this that I got for free from Libro FM, so this will be an audiobook option for me in the midst of the other physical book reads that I added with the other prompts. So I'm excited to try this one out, and hopefully I will really enjoy it. Another one that I want to try to read for this challenge is Coffee Shop in an Alternate Universe. This has a hot coffee on the cover, and one of the prompts is to read a book that has a hot beverage on the cover, so this has a hot coffee, and I'm so excited for this. I recently hauled this, so I can't wait to try it out. I just wanted an excuse to pick this up, and it does perfectly fit that prompt, so I can't wait to try it. It seems like it's a cozy fantasy story, and it follows Brenda, whose internet goes out right before an important scholarship deadline, and she stumbles into Kat's family's coffee shop. She's swept away by cool, confident Kat, who actually cares about Brenda's 19-step plan to save the world through science. Meanwhile, Kat can't stop thinking about Brenda, who is smart, passionate, and doesn't seem to care that Kat is the prophesized chosen one. The only problem is that Kat and Brenda are from different universes, and this means that they need to go through a portal to go on a second date. As their realities collide and things spiral out of control, can a girl determined to save the world find love with a girl determined to outrun her destiny? I just am so excited for this. It has like a sapphic romance going on in here, and I think it would be perfect to pick up in the fall season, but I think that September could be a really good time to read this, so hopefully I'll be able to get to it this month. September is also Hispanic or Latinx Heritage Month, so I definitely want to read some books that feature Hispanic characters or that are written by Hispanic authors. So one book that I want to try to read is Certain Dark Things by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I've been meaning to read something written by her for a while, and I have a couple of her books on my shelves, but this one seems perfect for the fall season as well because it's got some supernatural elements, and it takes place in Mexico City, which is an oasis in a sea of vampires. Domingo is a lonely street kid who's just trying to survive when a jaded vampire on the run swoops into his life. Adel, the descendant of Aztec blood drinkers, is smart, beautiful, and dangerous. Domingo is mesmerized. Adel needs to quickly escape the city, far from the rival narco-vampire clan relentlessly pursuing her. Her plan doesn't include Domingo, but Adel finds herself warming up to the young man and his undeniable charm. As the trail of corpses stretches behind them, local cops and crime bosses start closing in. Vampires, humans, cops, and criminals collide in the dark streets of Mexico City. Do Adel and Domingo stand a chance of making it out alive, or will the city devour them? I am so excited to read this. I am curious about the supernatural aspects, and it takes place in Mexico City, so it feels perfect for this month. And even if I don't read it in September, it is just one that I want to highly prioritize. But I'd like to read at least a couple of books that are written by Hispanic authors in Hispanic Heritage Month, because I feel like in the last couple of years, it's something I've kind of neglected. Not on purpose, it just happened by accident. And also I feel like it's become a little bit less emphasized within the book community in the last year or two. And this is something that I think should change. We should always be reading Hispanic and Latinx authors, so definitely want to make this a priority. Finally, I want to include a recent release, and this is Immortal Consequences by Ivy Marie. This is by a Hispanic author. I believe her parents are Chilean and Peruvian, and it's also giving me dark academia vibes, which is a little bit different from the other like fantasy stories and other books that I have on my TBR so far. So I'd like to try to get to this one, but there's really no pressure. It is a little bit of a big book, and with all the other books on my TBR, I don't know that I'll get to it, but I would like to try it. It says, "Welcome to Blackwood Academy, the legendary school located on the fringes of the afterlife. Once a pupil enters the academy's arched gates, there's no way out except for the decennial, a once-in-a-decade celebration where a single worthy student is tested and given a choice. Graduate and join Blackwood's magical elite, or cross over to the mysterious other side. This time, though, the rules have changed. The decennial isn't a celebration, it's a competition, and there can only be one winner. Two academic arch rivals whose strange connection blurs the lines between obsession and hate. One girl driven solely by ambition, and another plagued by memories of the love she lost. And a charming playboy who never cared for anyone until he met the academy's newest student. Each of these 6 students has their own motivation to win and their own secret to hide. But what none of them know, they aren't the only ones playing Blackwood's game. And if they lose, some fates are worse than death." I am so excited for this. I do want to try to read some dark academia books this fall. I might try to do a reading vlog around cozy books and one around dark academia books. I'm saying this to try to hold myself accountable by putting it in the TBR video, but I'm so excited for this. I can't wait to try it out, and I'm just super excited for all the books on my September TBR, so I can't wait to dive into these. I think it'll be a really fun time, and I'm hoping to get to a lot of these if possible. I did want to mention though that I do have a couple of carryovers from the month of August, so as of me recording this, I'm in the middle of 3 different books, actually 4 books. I'm in the middle of Moby Dick, which I am buddy reading with my friend Des over on Instagram. I'll leave her handle linked in the description below if you want to check her out over there. But we are slowly buddy reading Moby Dick. It'll probably take us a while to get all the way through it, so it might take us a few months just to make it to the end of the story, so there's not a lot of pressure with it. We've just been reading a few chapters at a time. I'm also currently at this time still finishing a book from July, and that is Vera by Carol Edgarian. I don't know what it is about this book, but I've been really struggling to finish it. I just haven't found the time to physically sit down and read it, or I kind of put other books above it to finish those first, and then I push this one to the side. I've been enjoying it. I don't know why I haven't finished it yet, but I need to make it a greater priority to finish it in the month of September, hopefully at the very beginning of this month. And then I'm also currently still reading The Family Experiment by John Mars. This is a buddy read that I'm doing with my friend Isabel over at Isabel Reads 0314, and we will have our live show for this probably before this TBR comes out, but I am still working on this. I think I'm currently at the 30% mark of the book. Don't quote me on that for sure though, and I'm hoping to finish it in the next day or so. And yeah, those are some books that I'm still in the middle of. I'm also just started and I'm nearing the end of Take a Hint, Danny Brown. So this is one of the books that I added in my 8 book series that I wanted to catch up with or finish video. So I am finally doing it. I'm finishing the Brown Sisters trilogy. This is one that I wanted to finish in the summer, but it's carrying over a little bit into September. But I'm just excited to be reading it. I'm loving it so much so far, and it's just a great series. I really love Talia Hibbert's writing, and I will read more books from her in the future. All right, so those are all the books that I'm hoping to read in the month of September. Yet again, I have another ambitious TBR, but mainly these are just options for myself. I know that I won't get to a lot of these, but that's okay. I wanted to give myself plenty of opportunities or chances to try different things out and allow me to mood read a little bit too as well, so that I can pick up whatever I'm feeling during the month. I can't wait to get started on these these books, and I'd love to know your thoughts. What books are you looking forward to reading in the month of September? What was your favorite book of August? I'd love to hear any of your thoughts in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a like and subscribe. I appreciate all of you, and wherever you are in the world, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, I hope that you're doing well, and I'll see you for another video soon. Bye!